you're buying an E46 BMW or you're looking at one, what do you do? First things first, don't look at anything before 2003. And the reason is because the circuits behind these lights go bad and you have to replace the entire circuit board or the entire light. And I think it's like $600 per light. So that's shitty. Also, on the pre-2003, so before 2003, the headlight circuits will end up going bad and you'd end up having to replace the light. On every BMW E46, you roll the windows up and down. If you hear any crunching, you will end up having to replace those window regulators, and they are just about $350 to $450 per one. You do not want to go with the aftermarket regulators because you'll just end up replacing it in a few years again, and that's not a lot of fun. That is an easy DIY job, but it's just not a lot of fun. So in the way of the engine, there's a few things to look for, and I'm happy that we have this air box missing right now because it gives us a chance to do some inspecting. So let me go and get a flashlight real quick because we have a few things to poke around at. Hold please. So we're gonna start in the front and work our way back. So here, if the car has a clutch fan, so if there is a fan that's connected to that little bright screw that's poking out of the engine right there, out of the water pump, if there's a fan attached to that, make sure that clutch has been replaced. I can't tell you how many times one of these cars come in and that has not been replaced, and it's an easy preventative maintenance item because it keeps your car running at the temperature that it should. Then, right there, these two hoses, right? These ones are fine, but typically over time, these get hard, very, very hard. And these ones actually, they move, and that's what they're supposed to do. What will happen is they will completely crack right off. So those are your power steering hoses. And actually, I replaced this one here because it was leaking. I remember now. So I replaced this one because it was leaking. You have to make sure that those are replaced or have been replaced. Again, it's another really easy DIY job. Most things on this car are really easy. Especially this kind of stuff. But also these hoses will end up leaking right at the front. This one here might be a little, nope, this one's actually good. We move to this whole contraption here. So this contraption is your coolant expansion tank, and you want to make sure that this is not leaking. So where they typically will leak is right around here, the seam. If you look closely, you can actually see that it's stamped together. So it's heated up really hot and then stamped. So while it's not an issue, you have to be aware that that's where they will leak, and coolant ends up seeping in between the sheaths of plastic, and it bursts out of that stamping. You can plan on doing that, replacing those probably every 60 to 80,000 miles, depending on how hot of a climate you live in, and also how well you are with the services on your car. The power steering lines, let's say you take it to a mechanic, that could be probably $250, maybe $350 to have those replaced. If you don't replace them and your power steering runs out of fluid and you drive it like that, then you're gonna have power steering failure. And that's also a very common issue on these cars. In another video, I'll probably show you where they fail, but they have made an upgraded power steering pump that will last longer. Also, these cars should have either a cap that says, like this one, it says, let's see, where does it say? ATF oil only. Or it should say ZF11S fluid only. That is, it's a central hydraulic fluid that can be used as power steering fluid. So here is a vacuum line. So this hose here, this elbow hose, it goes down to a little cylinder-ish looking thing, I guess. And it actually will crack. So this hose is the one that's known for cracking here. And then it can also leak internally and down underneath the intake manifold. So an easy way to know this car may not be a true, because it hasn't been driven a whole lot. Well, if you take this hose off and you look in and it's just gunked up with, it actually will turn green. It just looks like mucus in there. Then you know that it's failed and you're going to need to replace it. Also, though, I can't say that that's 100% of the time, because I have had some 3 Series not have that happen and they have failed. So it just kind of depends on the one that you get. And you will get a check engine light when one of those fail, because essentially there's a vacuum leak at that point. Speaking of vacuum leaks, so we replaced together, us, you guys and me, this will leak, and this will cause a vacuum leak as well. So this is where the, this is a flap here that's inside of the intake manifold, and it's like a rudder, really, and it's actuated by when you press the gas. If you really give it the beans, then it opens up all the way and lets the car suck in all the air that it needs. But the seal will leak, or sometimes the flap will get stuck in a position. So and that's after a long period of time, and the reason I'm describing these things is because this is all the stuff that you have to do as these cars age. And also, this is why people get rid of these cars, because a mechanic, typically what will happen is they'll take the car into the shop, the mechanic will give them some sort of just outrageous cost to fix all of these things, because people just don't do this stuff that I'm showing you, and it adds up really quickly. So I mean, here the expansion tank plus the power steering hoses and plus this here, we're looking at just about $2,000. That's not with the water pump or the fan clutch. We'd be looking at maybe $2,500 at that point. It's stuff that if you do it as it comes up and as it pops up, then it's not really a big deal. But when you just don't, and you neglect the car, and then your power steering lines break and your expansion tank cracks, and you're in it, $1,000 at that point, and that's if you're lucky, then it can be a little bit of a hit right off the bat. But if you take care of this stuff slowly but surely, and you get good parts, BMW parts or better, then you're fine. You're going to be in a good way. So another thing to look at is going to be this boot here. It's going to be a little hard for me to show you. They crack as well. So right here, usually it'll crack right there around this hose where it goes in. Crack right there. Let's see, I don't think, yeah, no, this one's brand new. So it'll crack right there. And then sometimes also down there, there's another part that comes off. Let's see if I can get the light down there. There we are. So that little part right here that my middle finger is pointing at, it comes up. And it's another little vacuum point. Those usually will crack. There's a little ribbed part that looks kind of like this. That will crack. And so when that happens, the car will be sluggish. It might be a little hesitant. It might feel like your spark plugs need to be changed. Um, any type of vacuum leak will cause that symptom. It's a little bit of like it feels like a misfire is what it feels like, but it's not all the time. A lot of the times it could be when it's really wet outside or early in the morning. So all of that, it's all like right here, right? So all of that is things to look for. The oil filter housing gasket. So this is your oil filter housing, right? So this housing goes down and behind, here's your alternator, right? So it goes down and behind your alternator and it hooks onto the bottom or onto the side of the engine. So where it is attached to the side of the engine, obviously there's going to be a gasket there. That gasket is a weak point on these cars and it will leak at some point. That's a guaranteed, it's a given. It will absolutely leak. What you can do is, even when the airbox is here, if you get a flashlight and you flash it right down there, if you shine it right down there and you look past all of those little wires, if there's any sort of wetness, then you have a leak, because that's right where it connects. Because what we're looking at right between what looks like these two hoses, so this is our power steering hose right there, but right between there, that is your oil filter housing, right? Because it connects right back up to this right here. So if you look just past that and there's any sort of wetness, then you have to replace that gasket. That could be another expensive bill that could hit you. What I'm getting at is, go into your purchase of your BMW eyes open. Know what you're getting yourself into. And typically, for the most part, I will say that my BMW buyers typically already know about them and already are well aware of most of these issues. Also, what you could do, it's not always super telling, but you could here, oh, good heavens. So this is the oil cap. So on the bottom here, you should be able to see writing right there, okay? If you don't see any writing, and I know it's not always telling, but if you don't see any writing, that, in my opinion, means the car has not had its oil changes as it probably should have, and it's probably been abused, because that means that there's a bunch of buildup inside that engine. As a matter of fact, that's what the buildup looks like. So I actually did I did an intake cleaning on this car, so it's probably why mine looks a little yucky. It takes a second to get it all out. But it also, to some degree, it's normal. The car has 123,000 miles. It is normal to have something on there, right? So in contrast, let's just see. Let me show you a contrasting car. Hold please. Okay, so in contrast, we will look at this car. So this is a Mercedes-Benz 5.0 V8. I'm not saying that either one is better than the other. We're using this as contrast, okay? So this one here, oh, holy shit. Okay, so in contrast, we have this car. Oh. So this is a Mercedes-Benz 5.0 V8. I'm not saying that either one is better than the other, but there are some similarities here. Your oil filter is in the general same location, and you'll see the oil cap. So this car, this is a oil cap. If you'll notice, it's the exact same oil cap, more or less. It's just off a Mercedes-Benz. So see the underside of it is exactly the same. So there's that. And there's that. So here are just some quick fun facts about these two cars. This one has 200,000 miles on it. This one has 123,000 miles on it. 200,000, 123,000. So, again, I'm not saying one is better than the other, but normal oil changes, and you can tell that this one is not brand new because there's buildup on the inside and in the crevices. So this is not brand new. There's no trickery here. This one probably has had its oil changes. Maybe it's missed a few, or maybe it's just been abused. So as a general rule, when you're looking to buy one of these cars, BMW 3 Series, they should have their oil changed every 5,000 miles. No more. You can almost kind of rehabilitate one that has been not taken care of or not had its oil changed as often as it should, or maybe they just followed the BMW manufacturer guidelines for their services, which is every 10,000 miles, and you just cannot go 10,000 miles on 7 or 8 liters of oil. You just can't do that. It doesn't work, because this is what happens. That buildup that's on there, it ends up being sludge. So especially when people miss their oil services. So again, every 5,000 miles, for the love of God, just do your oil changes every 5,000 miles. Put the best oil, put the best filter you can get, and these cars will never die. They're good cars, very good cars. So again, there are a few things to look at and watch for, and these are the major ones that I just showed you. The other things, the control arm bushings, yeah, those are annoying because they clack when you go over some bumps. What you watch for is when you let off of the brakes, or when you press on the brakes, if there's any sort of movement that you feel through the steering wheel, then that's a telltale sign that that they're bad. It's the easiest way. Or what you could do is you could go up to the car. This one, it won't let me do it because they're not bad. And you just push. If you push and they move backwards and forwards, then your thrust bushings or your control arm bushings are indeed bad. This one isn't, because it's really difficult. It's really firm. These aren't bad, so it's hard for me to show you. I don't know. I don't even have one that they are bad. You guys, these are fantastic cars, and they're incredibly reliable if you are mindful, if you do take care of your cars, and they're fantastic first cars because they are sturdy. Now, I caution first-time buyers to buy them. I would say that you should have somebody who knows cars and that will help you work on your car, because you can really fuck up one of these cars very, very easily, and it can cost you a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing or if you're not mindful. So happy hunting for your BMW. I do wish everybody the best. I think that I've said this so many times, they are my favorite cars to get in inventory because of their consistency, because I always know what they're all gonna need. And this one was a little bit of a pain for me, but it was just because the timing that the car came into inventory was not fortuitous for me, that's for sure. So, but now I'm able to get it all together, which actually is probably better because you guys are able to be here with me for it. I have another one of these. It's actually just sitting right there. And that car is going to be pulled in here soon. So I'm looking forward to that one. I really enjoy that car. It's actually a convertible. And we are going to be doing the same crap that we did on this one on that car. So I'll try not to do a bunch of repetitive videos, but I will try to cover bases that maybe I wasn't able to cover on this one. So I know that that one is going to need a window regulator, and there's also a convertible sensor that it's going to need, as well as the water pump. So we're going to be doing a water pump, a slightly different one that we did on this one. So this one doesn't have the clutch fan. That one does. So there's a whole bunch of BMW stuff that's coming up, you guys, the E46 stuff, as well as actually the E39. I have a E39 540 that we're going to be starting to do some of our reconditioning on as well. So there's a bunch of content coming up. If you did enjoy this, if you felt like this helped you, or if you have any questions, like and subscribe to my videos. I would be ever so grateful for that. And if you do have those questions, do put them in the comments. I will do my best to reply, or take heed to your question and try to answer it either in a video or in a comment. Take care, and I will see you guys next time.